There is a lot of life that is very tough. So finding things that can bring people joy, especially yourself, that's what you got to look for. My name is Alzana Nazalillo. I am a teacher here at Carrollton High School. I have classes that involve speaking and stage production, and I also direct the high school musical, the high school play, and now the middle school play or musical, depending on what year it is. When I first started, I was asked to direct the fall play. I had never done anything like that before in my life, and I had no idea what I was doing. I learned as I went. I'm still learning, and I have now directed more than 30 shows on the main stage, and then a whole bunch of other little things that we have fun with. Moving from our old home in the Belle Heron to here, there were a lot of memories connected to the Belle Heron, a lot of really good memories. And that part was the only sad part about having this new place. When we were at the Belle Heron, we had to put trash cans out when it rained because it would rain on stage. And the last year before The Lion King, I had to chisel mushrooms off the proscenium because of the mold and mushrooms that grew there. There wasn't a lot of things to love about an environment that kids had to deal with that kind of thing. So our new space is wonderful in those regards. The Lion King was a favorite in many ways. It was a great way to say goodbye to a place that had a lot of memories for a lot of people. We had people that had kids, that their parents also went to the Belle Heron. In some places, their grandparents, and those kids that were involved kind of got to say goodbye not only for our generation, but for a few generations. So I would say that probably was one of the most successful things that I've been able to do. We had 120 kids involved in the production, and for trying to get the program to be built to the point where people can be okay with their child being involved, that was successful for us. We needed people to see that kids can be involved in the stage and be successful and be okay. In our community, sometimes it doesn't seem like it's accepted to be a part of the fine arts, and The Lion King allowed us to show people that it was just fine. I can understand why parents are afraid to talk about the arts. I think that a lot of parents, especially here, they want their kids to somehow magically be able to stay around here, and they don't see jobs around here that would work for the arts. So I think that that is a huge fear for people, and I know that we have kids that are successful here in our fine arts programs that are still told by their parents to not worry about it and not do it because they need to just be working. Locally, I think that a few things have led to our decline in numbers. It seems as though we have more and more families that can't support any extracurricular activity. We have more and more people in our community that simply can't get a child home from school if it's not on the bus, can't get to the school on a Saturday because a bus isn't getting there. So I think even if we weren't tying any kind of fee or anything to performing, we don't have kids that can be here outside of the school day. Local decisions on what graduation requirements are hurt us quite a bit. You used to have a fine arts credit in high school. We now accept people just having a fine arts credit in middle school as enough time in the fine arts to be a well-rounded student. I think it also is kind of saying the people up there don't find it important enough to have in high school. Looking at the pandemic and our rebuild from them, keeping kids safe was important to the people here. And so we did what we needed to do. For the most part, it didn't hurt our numbers when we were back. Our productions since the pandemic have been, if not the same, a little bit bigger. And I think part of that was kids were excited to be able to do something again. However, the worry of this ongoing thing ended up affecting our productions a little bit more than I had expected. We lost a former student to COVID. During the week of a production, and a lot of our kids knew that student, and that became far more real for a lot more kids than we had expected. we noticed very much an uptick of kids just being worried after that point. Since that point, we still have kids that are just maybe a little bit more on the outside than they typically would have been. You have to build the environment that people will know that they can take chances. You can't get a good performance if people aren't willing to just step outside of their comfort zone, whether it's playing an instrument or singing or speaking. The environment that you build, it has to be something that they're willing to take that risk. A part of that environment is you have to create something that people know that they're going to be safe when they do take that risk. I don't know that other programs have that ability. They have to keep everything in line because their sport or their organization has these exact rules, and you have to play by these rules and you have to follow what you're told, and that's not exactly the performing arts. We want you to listen to what your director's saying, but a lot of times your director should be telling you to try it. When you have a strong program, you have a lot of people that are just there for each other. When you're talking about students that sometimes maybe feel like they're already the misfits of the group or the outsiders, when they all know that they feel like that and that everybody feels like that, they all of a sudden realize that it doesn't matter. They can be exactly who they want to be and people are just going to accept them. Just knowing that you have people is a huge benefit, particularly when we're talking high school or middle school, because we know that it's rough out there. The emotional benefits of performing or being a part of the performing arts, I think that there are so many that I don't know that I can list all of them. Another thing I think that is positive, and I guess it kind of stems from the fact that you have people, is that you're exposed to people that will talk about their issues because they feel comfortable, they feel like you're a part of their family. And so not only do you hear about other people's struggles, but you also hear about what they're doing to try to solve those problems. And sometimes it's not all positive, but you're hearing that, again, it's not something you have to deal with on your own. And I think that the nature of the performing arts is that idea that you can talk and be out there and be you. And so kids get to hear things that sometimes in other places or just on their own, they're not going to hear, that they can get help or that people are there to support them or that they could just talk to people. What would I say to a student that's struggling with their issues and trying to get them to be a part of things? I would first tell them or remind them that we love them and that we want them around, and they have a lot of people that want to be a part of their life, and if we can do anything for them, it's going to be here and not to hide their light, that they should be a part of things just so that we can be super selfish and have them in our lives. We are just here to have a really great time. We can find a whole bunch of meaning and so many layers of meaning in it, but we can also just be here to enjoy our time because we don't have very much of it. I can't now. Okay. We didn't wait long enough. We didn't wait long enough. Bye, Owen.
Bye, thank you.